gentlemen, welcome to the show. I decided to take another stab at theme music. Kim, give me a thumbs up if my volume's good, if you can hear me. Or if the music's too loud. I don't know what the middle thumb means. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to you, me, and CTC episode 231. That's right, we are back in the odd numbers because Tim created his own show. So instead of Tim doing the even numbered shows on Monday, YMB is back to once a week, but that's okay because we, as a network, are up to 3 shows per week. That's right, boys and girls. YMB live on Thursday. Tim started Tim 210 on Monday. And Zach as the Coin Pod on Tuesday. All right, enough of that music. How's it going, guys? Thanks for joining us. We're going to have some fun today. Talk about SegWit, adoption, some good news there. And guess what else? What's the other thing? Friggin' gotta have a moment of silence for all the people whose deaths were caused by Bill Gates.
Well, I mean, Bill Gates and his arch nemesis, fucking.
Hey, I'm gonna
ask
Zach real quick to mute himself whenever he's not talking. We got a lot of history from his end. No worries. What'd you say, Tim?
The perfect public transportation. No, I was Steve Jobs. It's actually good Zach did that because I needed to stall for a little bit because I couldn't remember the guy's name. The Buddhist guy who parked in handicapped spaces and just shat on people his entire life.
Steve Jobs? What? Was he really a Buddhist?
Yeah, I mean, I know people wrote stuff about it, and I think he talked about it a little bit, and like he did the whole. I've heard that in just people who are like, I'm being the most productive. They just like pick your productivity, like clothing or like your own uniform, then you just always wear that, so you don't have to ever worry about clothing.
Yeah, it's decision fatigue.
Yeah.
Oh, that's me. That's me all the way. I don't even.
No, we're not talking about this. Like you pick different. I'm talking like you have nothing but a black T-shirt and then jeans because you go, I never have to think about this again. I can use all my brain power for this.
Yeah, that's me. I have.
Yeah, but it's actually
clothes.
Yeah, but it's actually a thing. Like decision. There's a decent body of literature on decision fatigue and why your productivity increases. But Tim, you should definitely cover that in your next 2 cents episode on why. If you hate those people or you like them, I don't know.
Yeah, Tim, tell us about 2 cents. What the heck is it? Why are you freaking doing it?
I needed something to do because Zach made me look bad by doing his own shit, and I couldn't just keep on leeching off of it. And because I want to talk about something different than just Bitcoin. The general idea right now is just go through various belief systems, isms, whatever, and figure out what actually there is useful, what is actually even able to be applied to daily life in the modern world. I'm sorry, the podcast isn't really. Now, Bitcoin might help you in Venezuela. This podcast isn't really going to be able to help you with that. I don't understand your day-to-day life. So unless you just want to learn about how monarchism could have been a possibility in America, or if there's a merit to having it in America, then you're kind of fucked. But yeah, tune in for that. If you have anything you particularly want me to give, I know like Satanism, feminism, capitalism, socialism, but if you have any like super secret guys, just send me some.
You'll probably never run out of isms. That's a great way to decide show topics. Just any old ism, have a good time with it.
Yeah, no, that's
it's awesome. The perfect. It doesn't have to be related. It's the perfect chaser to everything we talk about here. Totally unrelated.
It's true. It's true. I mean, seriously, since the beginning, we've called ourselves your Liberty and Bitcoin podcast, and a lot of the Liberty stuff has been philosophical. We've done entire episodes, even though it's technically a Bitcoin podcast, we've already done entire episodes about philosophy, and we did a whole one about that meme, whether you run over 5 people with the train or run over 1 person with the train and stuff. The trolley. So yeah, tune into that, guys, every Monday, as long as Tim sticks with it.
Hey.
Zach's giving us the tour of his train right there. Guys, yeah, we are literally coast to coast and seat to train, I guess. You know, they are on the East Coast. I'm on the West Coast. We're in seats. Zach's on a train. So you get everything on this show: Bitcoin, liberty, philosophy. If you want to join the fun, especially tonight, the place to be is you, me, and btc.com/live. That's where you can watch the video. Go for it.
Oh, I will say I was pretty mad when Tim dropped his first 2 cents, and this one dude was like, "Oh yeah, my favorite show ever." And I'm slaving over here trying to get these guys to come on. Like,
no, Zach definitely had more prep time than I did.
Jeremy Bennett is he's been around for a couple of years here on the show. I think he might have even listened to every episode. I think that was him. I'm pretty sure. So shout out to him. All the way. That's literally, we were counting them up last week, something like pushing 300 episodes. If you include our, you know, we have some live shows and some interviews that didn't count towards our episode total or our episode number, which right now is 231. But we really have more audio than that. So shout out to Jeremy Bennett. Thanks for tuning in. And all of our other super fans, like freaking NY Cartoons, coming back for freaking another week of fun. He's always in the chat. Thanks for joining us. We're going to have a blast tonight. And yeah, like I said, the place to be is you, me, and btc.com/live. Jump in the chat, read the show notes, click some links if you want to know what we're going to be talking about today. And I'll share my screen for this because it's pretty fun. I'm pretty proud of my poll this week. We try to have a poll every week at the bottom of the show notes. And this week's poll is question: how many deaths has Bill Gates fairly directly caused? Tune in tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern for our thoughts.
Some say.
That is the question. And it's actually a legitimate question. Like, in one sense, I'm trolling. Like, yeah, Bill Gates said some bad stuff about Bitcoin, so we'll say some bad stuff about him. But I'm also, like, genuinely curious. Like, if you take, like, how many deaths have been enabled by Windows? And then, you know, if we keep talking, which we'll get to later in the show, you could start differentiating, be like, well, it didn't necessarily enable those deaths because, you know, they could have used Mac, but they still used Windows. So then what's the number then?
Did Ross Ulbricht use PC? Probably.
Probably. Yeah. So we'll get into all that, have some fun later in the show. We're also going to have a moment of silence for all of those who have fallen at the hands of Bill Gates software. So stay tuned for that.
We should have another moment for them because they're missing our rebound to 11K right now. But they died. So
they are. That's an extra 11 moments of silence. Yeah, we're pushing 11,000 or even over 11,000 a couple times today. So that's fun. We'll celebrate for that. And we got no sponsor today, so email me if you want to sponsor us, Daniel at youmeandbtc.com. That's all we'll do for a plug, and we'll get right into SegWit. Guys, what do you think? Was SegWit exciting? So I will also share my screen again because there's a pretty good, useful chart that we could be looking at. If you're listening to the podcast, I'm sorry, that sucks. Can't see my screen, but you can still find the video on YouTube. What do we got here? SegWit.party/charts. This is, I believe, I don't know the exact time frame for this chart. Probably a couple days. But anyway, SegWit is going up pretty hard. Up from 15% to 30% in a matter of, these are like 20 block chunks. 20 blocks is about 3 hours. So 1, 2, 3, like 3 or 4 days, 5 days. We've doubled the amount of SegWit usage. So, all right, let's have some fun here. I like giving Tim the technical questions because he usually answers them wrong. Just in case anyone listening has been under a rock for the past year or so, what do you know about SegWit? What do you think about SegWit? Why am I even looking at this chart?
Because you're a SegWit shill and you have no balls. No, SegWit's
Dan represents big SegWit.
You're a SegWit cuck.
Big SegWit. Block screen. Block screen. No.
Well, before Tim answers, I was going to say, to be honest, like I understand the basics of SegWit, but I don't understand the architecture that it changes in a block confirmation. So I'm ready for Tim to lay it on me.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, lay it on me, Tim.
I'll repeat Zach's and say that segregated witness, it's just a way to more quickly or use less space to take transactions, I think, or something like that.
Doesn't it strip out certain parts from the headers of each block so that there's less information stored?
I have no idea. I thought it was something to like streamline it. And then
Yeah,
Trezor supports it.
that is true. So I won't get into the technical details because I'm not the expert on it either. But yeah, that's all I was going for, Tim. Is it streamline is a great word. It doesn't increase the block size. That's been the huge debate for 2-3 years now, is increasing the block size. Oh no. It doesn't increase the block size. What it does is make transactions take up less space. Generally, obviously there's exceptions, but in general, transactions take up less space because, yes, the witness is segregated, and the witness is just part of the transaction. It's this, it's like the signature that identifies, like, it's like a witness, like, yes, this happened, this is real. It's the part that proves it's real, and they just keep it in a separate data structure, and so it doesn't count towards the block size. That's all I'm going to say, and take that with a grain of salt because I'm not the expert either, but that's the idea. So have you guys, SegWit became possible over the summer, this big whole August when Bitcoin Cash forked, is because they didn't want SegWit, but we got SegWit and they forked because they didn't. But I don't know. I just want to know if you guys are excited, what you think about this spike. Essentially, okay, let me ask this. Another technical question. We'll see if Tim gets it right. What is the benefit when, if transactions are smaller, and which means you can fit more of them in a block? What's the benefit then? Why would you want to do that?
I did just
you wouldn't. That sounds terrible.
All right, moving on. Zach's got it. We're good. I'm waiting, Tim. Why?
Oh, okay. I was just gonna leave it at Zach's. Because it would make transactions cheaper, I would think, because you could fit more of in. It should go more quickly. The storage costs would go down. Did you say no? You're still muted. I don't know.
No, I said bingo.
Oh, there we go. I got it right,
mute.
ladies. Yeah, it's just it seems like it just with anything else, as long as the smaller you can make everything, the just better overall it is.
Yeah, that's dead on. Now, this is a lot of people in Bitcoin. If you're listening to us, you might know a lot of this because if you're listening to us, you probably follow Bitcoin a fair bit. Kudos. But yeah, so there's a summary if anyone doesn't know. Smaller transactions means you can fit more of them every 10 minutes, which means, the cheaper, less competition for block space because there's effectively there's room for more transactions. There's not room for more megabytes, but there's room for more transactions. So yeah, basically what happened was, I'll read a little bit of this article here from ccn.com. That is Crypto Coins News. And this was written by Jake Sylvester. And he says, as a result of the latest Bitcoin Core 0.16 update, the usage levels of Bitcoin SegWit have been taking off. This significant uptick in usage levels can also be attributed to a number of major exchanges and wallet providers such as Coinbase and Bittrex finally implementing this into their platforms. That's one of the biggest things I wanted to talk about here. People were ripping on Coinbase for months because they're like, hey, when SegWit, sir? And
yeah, part of it was because they were spending they said they had a dev team dedicated to this Ethereum kitties nonsense and all that stuff. And people are like, look, your transaction fees are through the roof and you're spending your shit on this.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm fully on board with anyone that wants to bash Coinbase. I used to say I used to say like, well, yeah, Coinbase, they're a big player and they have a lot of power in the space and they misuse that power. They're kind of annoying, but they're still the easiest way to buy Bitcoin. I used to say that.
Sorry, go for it. Tell us what you say now. Sorry.
Yeah, and at this point, though, I literally have not used them for months. I've even gone out of my way, like, oh, I could use Coinbase, but screw that. I'm going to use something else. I've just had enough of them. And so I'm done. And that's their loss. So, you know, as much as I want to be not respectful, I want to be cognizant of their benefits. They just don't have those benefits anymore. There's too many other options and nobody cares about Well, a lot of people do still care about Coinbase and still use it. And that's a shame. But the fact is you shouldn't. And I don't mean you shouldn't like morally like, oh, you're bad. I'm just saying like factually, there's no reason to use Coinbase over any of these other big, Poloniex, Glidera, Circle, Bach, Poloniex. That's another big thing. I should have put that in the show notes, but anyway.
So I agree. I haven't used them in a year, and I'm not on the whole boycott Coinbase bandwagon, but I haven't used them in at least a year. The only reason I still have them on my phone is because I like their interface for the price. So that's literally the only reason I have it. It's just to check the price updates on the coins that they support. But I think, like, to your point about how much power they have, the rapid increase in transactions processed through SegWit shows how much power they still have. Even, like, it's Coinbase and Binance and one other exchange, I think, that implemented SegWit over the past week. But just the spike in the transactions on SegWit show how much power they still have, or how, not power per se, but how much traffic they handle. And I'll shamelessly plug the next episode of the Coin Pod right now, because I'm talking with the team from Bisq and the team from HODL, which are two of the best decentralized exchanges. And this is dumb of me, but I always thought like decentralized exchanges were super awkward to use, like a little bit clumsy and funky and that sort of thing. But it's just like your mind will be blown when you listen to this episode, because these two exchanges are phenomenal. Coinbase, even Robinhood, all of these guys are centralized and just fair game for these decentralized exchanges. So it should be a super awesome episode.
Yeah, I'm real excited for Bisq. I don't know a ton of the details, but I know the idea behind it, and I love the idea of decentralized exchanges. I love Counterparty, which is decentralized for tokens that live on the Bitcoin blockchain. That's the limitation, is it's only for those tokens. But I freaking love Counterparty, and yeah, I'm super psyched for Bisq as well. And I'll write it down right now. I gotta research more of it, but I've been following them on Twitter and just psyched. And check out on Tuesday. Every Tuesday, Zach puts out his CoinPod episode. You can find his landing page at thecoinpod.com. But yeah, so I was also going to say that I'm not on the boycott Bitcoin or boycott Coinbase. I'm not on the boycott Coinbase bandwagon either. I'm not going to go. I don't care. A boycott to me, says like, oh, go out there, and it kind of indicates activism. I'm whatever. Like I'm gonna say this on the show just because it's a fact. I don't use Coinbase and I don't like Coinbase, but I'm not gonna be like constantly. I'm not gonna use the hashtag boycott Coinbase. But I just don't use them, and I just don't like them. So that's it for me.
Didn't we show them a little sympathy several episodes ago when they fought the IRS John Doe summons?
Yeah. So Andreas, I believe, recently tweeted, because of all this IRS crap. Andreas said, "Hey, at least they fought the IRS summons or whatever, subpoena, something like that." Andreas said, "I'm sure a lot of the other exchanges threw over their data without a peep, And yeah, okay, sure. He's probably right. You know, that Coinbase at least fought it. And I will give them some credit for that. I still don't want to use them, still don't care about them, but that's a positive for them. So
yeah, no, I forgot Andre said that too. I completely agree. Like, if anyone out here, and I use a couple of these, like if you use Poloniex or Kraken or Qcoin or Binance or any of these, and you think just because they haven't gone to court to fight a summons that they're like off the radar or something and totally not handing over any data, then you're just an ignoramus to the max. And so, just, yeah, we good on Coinbase for fighting it, but the rest of them are definitely. Like, there's no way the IRS is not interested in the user data they have. It's just out of the question that they're not handing it over.
yeah, I agree. I'll give them some kudos for that. I'll pick up with a little bit more of this article. The advantage. Segregated witness is a way of bundling transactions together into blocks, which is a much more efficient way for transactions to be processed. I'm going to call some BS on that. What do you mean bundling them into blocks? This is Jake Sylvester. Good effort, but nope, that's not really what SegWit is. You don't. They're already in blocks. That's already how Bitcoin transactions work. SegWit just takes some of that data out of the block. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, please. Whether you're listening live, drop it in the chat, or if you're listening later, leave a comment on YouTube or whatever. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. But I'm going to call BS on that. It is not a way of bundling transactions together into blocks.
Can I ask what? Well, that's something that I'm confused on. I'm like pretty clear on the fact that SegWit and bundling are not the same thing, but I'm not exactly sure what bundling a transaction looks like technically on the chain when you bundle transactions.
So
does bundling happen off chain? Then I'm not sure.
I would say bundling. The best example of bundling, I would say, is probably Lightning Network, because what they do is you can send 1,000 transactions per second, but not every one of those ends up on the blockchain. You only settle all of that to the blockchain when you want to. You don't have to settle. You don't have to put every single transaction on the blockchain. You only you take the net result of all those transactions whenever you choose and put that on the blockchain. Just to give you a super, like, the ultimate basic example, I could say, and you could say we did this on Lightning or whatever. I could say that I give Tim 1 Bitcoin for whatever services Tim's providing me. Fill in the blank.
That like more creepily.
All right, let's say I give Tim 1 Bitcoin. Jeez, that's an expensive night. Or sorry.
Oh, it's only going to be a night. I ain't staying with any longer than that.
Let's say I give Tim 1 Bitcoin. All right. Let's say I had a great time and I want to give Tim another Bitcoin the next day. Cool. All right, let's do it. So all of a sudden, Tim has 2 Bitcoins. And then let's say Tim, I don't know, what would Tim pay me for? Dinner. All right. Let's say we had a really expensive dinner that was half a Bitcoin. All right. So now where we're at now is I sent Tim 1 Bitcoin. I sent Tim another Bitcoin, and then he sent me half a Bitcoin. Now, keep in mind, you could do this with way, way, way more than 2 people. You could have hundreds of people, thousands of people, and like, oh, if I don't have a connection to Tim, I'll send it to Zach, and then Zach will send it to Tim. But still, that's just the idea. Just to keep it simple, me and Tim. The net result of all that is I give Tim 1.5 Bitcoins. Because I gave him 1, and then he gave me a half. The net result is me giving Tim 1/2 Bitcoin, or 1.5 Bitcoin. And that's it. That's the one that goes on the blockchain. If I want to. If I want to close the channel, I could close it right there. And that's the only transaction that would show up on the blockchain, is me sending Tim 1.5 Bitcoins. And that's why I would say it could be called bundling, because in reality, it was 3 transactions: me to Tim with 1, me to Tim with another 1, and then Tim to me. That's 3 transactions but on the blockchain that's bundled together into just one net result transaction. That's my super simple explanation. Does that make any sense, Zach?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
And I will, maybe I should give what was his name here again? Jake something. Yeah, Jake Sylvester. Maybe I should give him a little bit of leeway there, because that was one of the gigantic, reasons that people wanted SegWit, was because it made Lightning Network possible. Again, that's technical stuff. Don't have to get into the details, but Lightning Network would not have worked without SegWit, or more specifically, it required a malleability fix. And again, more technical stuff. Don't worry about it. Google transaction malleability if you're that interested. But it required a certain feature. SegWit included that feature, and that feature enables Lightning Network, which might be kind of what he's getting at here. It's not, SegWit is not transaction bundling, but it enables transaction bundling if you say that that's what Lightning Network is. So, for whatever that's worth.
And it's cool. So I'm going to try and set up a Lightning node later this weekend. But what's cool that I am learning in this whole process, that you guys and the listeners probably all knew, is literally any coin can run Lightning, assuming they already have SegWit implemented. So it's not just like a Bitcoin specific thing, but any coin can grow exponentially, and kill fees and that stuff with SegWit implementation and Lightning built on top of it.
Definitely true. Yeah, I was listening just today to, I think probably the most recent Let's Talk Bitcoin. And yeah, they said they were going all over Lightning Network and explaining how it can work on different blockchains and stuff. So yeah, I'm pretty psyched about all that. I mean, it's growing. Transactions are getting cheaper. That's the biggest thing, which Tim mentioned that with SegWit, it makes transactions cheaper, and Lightning Network can make them even cheaper. But really, that's probably the main reason I wanted to cover this story, is because finally, transactions are clearing up. We had a big transaction fee bubble over Christmas, as high as, literally, it seems weird to think about it now. It's like, wow, did I really pay $20, $30 for transactions? Yeah, I did. And geez, I can't believe I did that. I guess it's just, you don't think about it as much when Bitcoins are worth 20 grand.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly everything it's exactly the opposite of everything we talked about at the beginning about how much so cheap it is. But then at some point, even if Bitcoin isn't that expensive, if you're moving, I didn't do any transaction that was under probably like $1,000. So if you're doing under that, then it is a bigger issue, and it's still annoying because you could be like, oh, I just sent $2,000 to Russia for like 5 cents, but it's still.
Tim, why were you sending money to Russia?
Actually, I'm Trump's connection over here. I'm actually
you're the one that told him to take our guns.
No, that was Walmart. They told me that was.
No, I thought it was
master. What?
I thought it was Dick's.
Yeah, Walmart did too. Dick's did that back after Sandy Hook, though. Now Dick's is just stopping selling them in the Field and Stream because every single
Tim probably
store.
Tim probably has a copy of the PP tape on his hard drive, just waiting to.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I was the hooker that he asked to piss on him. So I was in the room with him and Putin, pissing on them, and I gotta say Trump liked it better. Putin didn't seem too much for. He tried to judo chop me. But yeah.
But like I said, always being cheap. Sorry. Well, always being cheap. It's the favorite thing that blew my mind when I was listening to Andreas. I'm trying to go through all YouTube lectures. When he's talking about scaling, and he said, there's no such thing as a scaled network or something like that. Like a network can never scale. Like scaling is continually a problem that engineers try and fix. And like cheap fees are directly tied to how well Bitcoin can scale. Like if it scales to how much demand there is and how many transactions there are and that sort of thing, then fees will be super cheap, like it was in 2009 to 2013 or 14 or so. But now, like it's clear that it's not to scale because more people want to process transactions than can be cheaply processed. And so we'll go with SegWit and we'll go with Lightning. And in the future, we'll go with bigger blocks and all these sorts of things to try and keep the fees cheap. So it's just a matter of how scaled Bitcoin is. And the better it scales or the more it scales, the cheaper the fees will be. That's my take from Andreas.
Yeah, that's been obviously, as everyone listening probably knows, scaling has been the hottest topic in Bitcoin for quite some time. And it's exciting to be close to some of these solutions. I do want to mention that as exciting as Lightning Network is, just like Bitcoin itself, it's going to take time. Man, I can't believe Bitcoin's been around for 10 years now. Like almost 9, something like that. Jeez, that's a long time. And yes, it's had meteoric, it's gone up in price a lot over that time, and it's still a really fast price rise. But 10 years is a lot of time. And it's been around for that long, and it's still being worked on. And I would just mention that to anyone thinking about it, that Lightning Network is going to be the same way. Yes, we're making progress. Yes, we're making fast progress. But 10 years from now, people are still going to be improving Lightning Network. And it's still going to be, you could maybe even call it a beta still. 10 years from now, Lightning Network might still be called a beta program. And people will still use it and it'll still work just like Bitcoin. But I just want to point that out just as a reminder. It's exciting. Absolutely. I can't wait. But I'm not going to expect, microtransactions for every article I read on the internet starting next month. I'm just not. And that also brings to mind, a lot of ICO projects, but in particular, I kind of think of like MadeSafe and Storage or Storj, whatever you want to call it. There was so much hype around those 2-3 years ago. And they're just still like, oh yeah, we could. There's still companies as far as I know, and like people might be using them a little bit, but they're still just like building. Like, okay, like oh, there's so much hype. And we wait, and we wait, and we wait. And I'm sorry, but I wish it wasn't the case, but that's just the way tech goes. And that's probably the way Lightning Network's going to go. So just keep that in mind. Okay, guys, I want to jump in the chat real quick. Just give another thank you to NY Cartoons for joining us. He says, junior writers on SegWit happens often. I'm sure he's referring to the mistake in the explanation of SegWit. And yeah, it certainly does happen often. And again, I got to cut him some slack because we're not experts either. We've been doing this show for 5 years. We've done several episodes on SegWit, but I'm not going to call myself an expert by any stretch. So that's reserved for Andreas Antonopoulos in my book. And NY Cartoons also says, use Lightning Network, no public ledger. Okay, that's fair. I think he's saying it could be more private because not every transaction goes on the blockchain. Only the ones that you want to go on the blockchain. Or at least, I guess someone else could decide to settle your transaction at any given time, and then it would go on the network. But only a tiny fraction of transactions will show up on the network, and yes, that could have some serious privacy implications in a good way, presumably. And he also go ahead.
Oh, sorry, no, but I was just going to pitch something that I don't understand at all, but just saw on Twitter today. Even on-chain transactions are getting a privacy boost with bulletproof protocols. I don't know if you've heard of those, but one of the core developers, Peter Woolley, I think his name is. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. But he was tweeting about bulletproof protocols and how that improves anonymity on-chain as well. But yeah, Lightning is obviously great for off-chain anonymity. Do you know anything about those?
I don't know about bulletproof particularly, but what I will say is, I wish I could remember who it was. One of the developers, pretty well known, a big contributor to Bitcoin, did a talk maybe a month ago. Gosh, I should have saved the video or something. We could have even played it on the podcast, but he did a talk where he went through like 20 different features coming to Bitcoin. And it was just incredible. Stuff exactly like that. Lightning Network, bulletproof, confidential transactions, Mimblewimble. Like, it was incredible. And yeah, so a lot of that is coming. A lot of things that will increase privacy. A lot of things that will improve scalability. And it's all just incredible. I mean, it's like, again, I have to say this. It will take time, no question about it. But there are some incredible ideas, and they're on the way. So I can't wait. Man, I wish I knew where that video was. I don't even know how to look it up because what do I search for? Like Bitcoin. If I just search for like Bitcoin improvements, I'm going to get a million results. So whatever. I'll see if I can find it. It might be in the show notes, but no promises. Anyway, NY Cartoons also says 10 years strong. And yeah, that's Bitcoin, 10 years strong. It's incredible. I remember even back in like 2010. All right, yeah, it must have been 2010, 2011. I remember joking with my friends like, wait, YouTube only started in 2005? It feels like it's been here forever. And it was only 5, 6, 7 years old. And to think that, and it felt incredibly old. And to think that Bitcoin is now older than the way YouTube felt back then. Like Bitcoin, it is still new. It does have a very long way to go. But it feels like a real thing now. It feels like, yep, it's there. It's established. It's a good thing in a ton of ways. But it's just weird. Like, oh, that's it. Bitcoin's here. It's a thing. So
yeah, can I have a Shamrock Shake?
So now
small.
Zach has moved to the only other trashier place in DC from the subway
And
to a
one
McDonald's.
chicken fingers order.
Which one? You want 2, 4, 6, or 10?
4.
Jesus.
Can you start?
Do you have a...
Oh, sorry. Hold on.
Oh, that was rich. This is why we do this show, guys.
This is
That
why
is
you
what
guys
this
need to
show is
donate,
all
too.
about. You will not get that on Let's Talk Bitcoin. I'm sorry, but that's just a fact. Whew. Seriously, guys. I'm joking. Like, I'm laughing, but I'm also dead serious. That is why you should listen to this show. Like, we have a great time here. We don't care what happens. We'll go through a drive-through. We'll take our shirts off. Like, seriously, like, I'm dead serious. If you have a friend that has some free time that they're trying to fill, and maybe they're wasting their time like playing video games or something, tell them about this show. Tell them to go sit on the porch, relax for an hour, and listen to you, me, and BTC. I am not joking. It is podcasts are incredibly therapeutic, but especially when they're fun. So tell them, I'm serious. Like, a lot of people waste a lot of time on a lot of things, and that's okay. Waste time on whatever you want. Like, I'm a big proponent of downtime, of free time, of doing what you want, at least quite a bit every week, making sure you have some time to play video games and not feel guilty or whatever. But, if someone's looking for something to do, tell them about this show. Dead serious.
No, don't play video games. Listen to the show more. Yes,
well,
no.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm a proponent of free time, but this free time is better than that free time. That's what
Obviously.
I'm saying.
Yes.
Yes.
Revolutionary
Sorry,
thoughts.
I forgot I was on mute for a minute, but then I was in the middle of the order and then just left it. Thank you.
That's all right. That was fun.
Make sure the chicken fingers are good.
I'm waiting for the Shamrock Shake. I haven't had one of these ever.
I don't think I've ever had one yet.
I've tried to have them multiple times. The machine's always broken. All right, guys, we got another story we got to get to before we wrap up, and that is frickin' Bill frickin' Gates.
Bill
So
Gates.
Have either of you two followed this much, Zach or Tim? Do you know what's up with Bill Gates?
I heard about him talking about it, and then I've spent like the last 40 minutes trying to figure out stuff about him, and I'll bring those up after you talk about it, I guess. But yeah, was just like, people die because of this. You're about 5. Jesus Christ. I keep forgetting how fucking crooked my hair is. I keep on seeing it on the television, on the fucking computer.
On
But
the television.
yeah, this is your TV now. I want all of you to just constantly tune into this. But yeah, Bill Gates was basically just like people die from it, and I guess it was probably a negative thing after that. He wasn't like, although that does have a little bit to do with what I'm going to mention later. But he most likely made it like, this isn't something we should be putting our time into. People die from this or something.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just dumb, but I don't know who Bill Gates is. He sounds like some broke no coiner who just hates Bitcoin because he missed out.
Most likely, yeah.
He's definitely not broke. He's the inventor of Microsoft Windows, richest man in the world.
No, I think he's just a broke no coiner who hates Bitcoin because he didn't buy in early enough. That's
probably.
He's a poser. His dad was rich. That's how he got his money. He didn't do shit.
Yeah, he's a rich old white dude who just hates Bitcoin because he doesn't understand computers or email.
Why do you hate Venezuelans, Mr.
Like
Gates?
He's a giant Trump fan. He's a big fan of Gates and stuff.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. I know obviously who Bill Gates is. I think he just, well, so part of me, I was going to tweet this out, but then I applied a rare filter and didn't. But like Charlie Munger from Berkshire Hathaway, Bill Gates, all these massively wealthy, super old, rich white dudes, like people are all up in arms and shitting on them for these opinions. And I bet like they don't give a single fuck about Bitcoin, and they're just like shooting the shit. Yeah, Bitcoin kills people, or Bitcoin is noxious poison, all this stuff. And they're old and rich and literally have nothing in the world they have to worry about. And oh, cool, look at this little toy people are trying to make money with, and they just give an opinion offhand and they don't give a second thought to it. I don't know.
Well, honestly, here's what you could say about that. That was such a, why would I say here's what you could say about that? Why wouldn't I just say it? Anyway. Yeah, that I could totally see that happening with anyone that has a lot of money. Whether you win the lottery or build an incredible company, when you all of a sudden when you have a ton of money, just your whole mindset changes, and it can happen to anyone, literally anyone, and you just, yeah, you're exactly right, Zach. There's just, you just hang out with people, shoot the shit, make fun of stuff. You don't care about anything except because you don't have to care about anything because you're set for life. That's just a fact. You don't have to care about anything. End of story.
Yeah, especially at that level of success and everything. Like, who's gonna? People tell you you're stupid. People do tell them they're stupid every day, I'm sure. But they can just be like, I make so much more money than you do.
Exactly. I was gonna say, this is why I started laughing. It can happen to anyone. It could even happen in Bitcoin. Oh wait, it has happened in Bitcoin. Freaking Roger Ver. And it's funny you say that, Tim, because that's literally exactly what he said on his Rage Quit YouTube video from a month or two ago. He said, I'm a self-made millionaire. Well, to be fair, he did say I was a self-made millionaire before I got into Bitcoin, which it is a fair point. Like that does mean something. But still, that's exactly what he said, Tim, is like, I'm rich, so listen to me. And that's what Bill Gates could say too. And I don't know him that well. Obviously I don't know him, but I don't like keep track of everything he writes or whatever. My assumption would be that he's a fairly decent guy. Like whatever, you could talk to him, he would not try to kill you. I mean, like I feel like he's a normal, like Jeff Bezos. Like he might be trying to take over the world, but he's probably like, you could hang out with him. And so I'm not saying Bill Gates is like some freaking wicked evil dictator, and like I'm not saying he's trying to be malicious or angry or careless or prideful or anything. I'm just saying that's what happens when you don't have to care about anything. You start not caring about stuff. So
yeah, well, the one thing I don't get with him saying, and maybe you can, this is even worse. You said that he was like this is bad because it's killing people, right?
Oh yeah. Let's get. Let me say a little bit of the story a bit more real quick because we didn't quite. Yeah, that's basically what he said. He was doing a Reddit AMA, and he said, "Let me see if I can find a quote here. The main feature of cryptocurrencies is their anonymity. I don't think this is a good thing. The government's ability to find money laundering and tax evasion and terrorist funding is a good thing. Right now, cryptocurrencies are used for buying fentanyl and other drugs, so it is a rare technology that has caused deaths in a fairly direct way."
Yeah, that's why people are dying, is they're buying off not fucking fentanyl patches from pharmacy that they're giving out, but that people fall asleep with and then just die. But yeah, this doesn't really make all that much sense coming from him because he has been. There's a rumor out there, and I like whenever we started talking about Gates, I just put into Google Bill Gates responsible for murdering people. There's a Snopes article because people say that he was like, we need vaccines because it can help control population. He didn't say that. He did give like some talks, and he's pretty supportive of vaccines, and then also talking about like the issue of overpopulation. And then his dad was the head of, he was on the board for Planned Parenthood a while ago, which was kind of just born. Whatever you think about that, it's kind of born out of the whole 1920s, 1930s eugenics projects in America, which is all about curbing certain things. So if you want to talk about Bitcoin, people dying from fentanyl patches and all this shit probably weren't going to be the most productive members of society. So you should probably like it, Mr. Gates. And besides that, yeah, Google, I'm sure, what has Google been, but what is Microsoft? Microsoft, that's what they do. They encourage children to become murderers by having them play Halo and shooting aliens with assault rifles. And then those kids go out and they go, I want to shoot the aliens, but the aliens are my bullies. So you're a piece of shit. You've killed millions, Mr. Gates.
I hate those people. They're like, I hate those people who blame violence on video games. I saw a tweet today. Trump is meeting with CEOs from big video game industries next week to talk about violence after he's handled this Florida shooting so terribly. And there is no correlation between people who play violent games and people who go shoot. Like, there's data on research and everything. Also, the Shamrock Shake is shit. I'm never buying it again. but there's no... People play violent video games and are totally normal in society. I hate people who say that.
It's getting rid of it, and then it's like everything else where it's this argument about, see, this is the reason. It's not because like you can just look on television on YouTube and just watch us just blowing entire cities apart. But we're not worried about those children. We're just worried about the 15 kids that died in Florida, not the 300 you just took out. When we fucking bombed a hospital twice in like 2 months, we bombed Doctors Without Borders just because we're like, shit, we fucked up. But no, much more concerned with homegrown violence coming from Grand Theft Auto, because kids who kill hookers in video games do so in real life.
And see, that's the Roger Ver I miss. That's the Roger Ver I love. The Roger Ver who's like crying on this documentary, screaming about how the U.S. does murder hundreds of civilians every week, probably thousands every week. I don't know. I'll stick with hundreds. But even one, they murder them, and it's just commonplace. It's just day-to-day activity. And the Roger Ver who was screaming and crying about that was a good person, and now he's just, like, obviously not all of it is accurate, but it's definitely not all false either. He's just kind of a slimy, scammy dude now who's kind of fallen off the radar and gone down the tubes.
Yeah, but, I think especially when people start making money while they're doing something, or if they do something kind of a little bit shady and then they make even more money, you start being like, well, why the fuck am I holding myself to whatever standard when like 90% of people are completely fine with, or just don't even let it affect them, people just getting murdered across it? What does it matter if I scam a few people out of a couple $100 each? And that, because it does, the morality then has a very easy out, if that makes, or like a very easy way to just be like, it doesn't matter. So other people are worse, and it's let me just focus on myself because I don't want to think about this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, wealth can erode your morality pretty quickly.
I'm on board with all your thoughts about how we kill people daily, and that's way worse. I enjoy following people like Anarchy Ball and Mance Raider. There's other people like that on Twitter who just they put out a lot of memes and they're great. But like stuff like a bunch of bombs, Bush just doesn't care. Bunch of bombs, Obama just doesn't care. Bunch of bombs, just Trump just doesn't care. But frickin' bump stocks, no frickin' way. No frickin' way.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if you want to avoid the serious pitfalls that can come from having too much wealth, again, donate. We will dispose of it in a good manner, much in the same way that police dispose of firearms. And we have a buyback program. We're gonna, I don't buy it back. Actually, no, I do want that to happen around me because I keep on seeing people where they just build pretty much just carve a piece of wood, just a shitty block, and have it, and then just stick a barrel on it. Probably depends on what area you live in and what they define as a firearm, but people will then build like 5 of those, and if the police are doing a buyback for like $100 or $200, they just take them in and make $1,000. So that'd be cool. I feel like I'd be a little bit like, I'm just gonna walk in and just be like, what the fuck are you? Get the fuck in this cell. Fuck you. Resisting arrest, sir.
I love, man. That I saw a video, and there's probably several of them. Of somebody like cutting up his gun. He's like, I've been an NRA member for years. I really believe in the Second Amendment, but #1 less. Cut up my gun. And it's like, you want 1 less? How about 10 less? How about 100 less? Tell your brother-in-law to quit the army. That's how you'll get 100 less, 1,000 less. So
well, that, and it's like, okay, what you broke your gun, so like you were or even it was a possibility that it could get stolen or something.
Yeah, like is that how bad of a gun owner you are? Yeah. Like you're gonna let some kid run off with your gun?
Exactly.
I could see that with like handguns and shit, but yeah, most of the time it doesn't seem like people they don't steal someone else's AR-15 and then go into a school. They get it from someone they know. Yeah.
And did you see the kid who built a Lego AR-15 and posted a picture online, and then he got arrested?
Oh, yeah.
I did hear that he said something like he put something, don't come to school tomorrow, which is still stupid. But they've been doing this over in Britain for a while. But yeah, finally, yeah, he's going to be gone. The police, it's not even like people want to make it like we have, we're finally coming to our sensibilities. It's just the cops are finally like, hey, wait, they're going to let us arrest him. Let's do it. Same thing with any of this shit. But yeah, that was a lot worse over in Britain. I brought up on this show again, but I think it's Count Dankula got arrested over in Scotland because he taught his girlfriend's pug to put his hand up every time he said Zig Heil. And yeah, they took him into court, and the judge is like, well, you're specifically trying to bring about a race war by the joke you've played with your dog or something.
Yeah. Scary stuff out there. Can't have them around.
What, dogs?
Nope. No way.
Kill all dogs.
Yeah. But no, hey guys. It's been fun. We're coming up on the last few minutes here. And tune in if you want more of Tim. Seriously, that's the kind of stuff he'll go over. Friggin' who knows what. Gun controlism.
Dogs.
Dogism. Dogma. Yeah. Tune in to Tim's 2 cents. It'll be fun. I guess it's time for advice of the week. Okay. Jeez. What's my advice of the week? Oh, hey, wait, hold on real quick. We got to have our moment of silence because I didn't quite get to this further explanation, but that's the end of the story. The other half of the story with this whole Bill Gates thing is a lot of people started making fun of him because they're like, well, Windows, like terrorists use Windows. Or whatever, you know. And it's true. Like a lot of people, a lot of terrible people use Windows, but it's not Bill Gates' fault. But today it is. We're going to say he caused all these deaths, and we're going to have a moment of silence. So what do we say here? How about the good solid 15 seconds or so, starting now? Please remove your hats, put your hand over your heart, and we'll be back.
Shut up, Zach.
Okay. You guys.
Ruined it. Ruined the moment of silence.
I always thought it was funny, like at baseball games, it's like, moment of silence for all of the fallen. And then like all the way across the stadium, you hear that one kid that's like, woo!
Let's go, Bucks. Shut the fuck up, man. We're trying to collectively feel guilt.
Jeez. All right, advice of the week. Let's squeeze it in here real quick. We got a minute or two left. My advice, I got this. This is a good one. Don't get rich. It'll ruin your life. That's my advice. Anyone else?
Don't buy the Shamrock Shake. It's dick.
Yeah, you know how I said we didn't have a sponsor this week? Just kidding. It was McDonald's the whole time.
Yeah, we got you guys.
And I'm not loving it.
Nah, it was good. Advice: tweet Bill Gates and tell him he murders children.
All right, you heard it here first, kids. It's been a blast. We'll see you. Tim will see you on Monday. I'll drop a quick reminder here, just as we transition into this new kind of network phase of You, Me, and BTC. I'll try to remind people a few times what's going on. If you were following us on a podcast feed earlier, then you're probably getting all of the shows now, including Tim's and Zach's and I guess mine, You, Me, and BTC. We transitioned our old feeds to network feeds, so you should be getting all of our shows. If you're a new subscriber, you might be subscribed to just one of these shows, and I would strongly encourage you, wherever you are, iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, SoundCloud, wherever you are, look for the other shows from the YMB network. Look for Tim's 2 Cents, look for the Coin Pod, and drop us a subscribe, drop us a review. If you can leave 5 stars, that'd be great. If you can't, just send me your address, and we'll make sure we take care of that in advance. And yeah, anyway, it's been fun, guys. Oh, you know what? I had fun with this theme music, so I'm going to play us out here. I've been Daniel Brown. I've been here with
Tim Baker
and Zach Voll.
All right, and with that, I'm going to ask them to mute themselves and roll us out. It's been a blast, guys. Oh, I lied. You know what? Ignore me because I turned off all of my audio pipes because geez. Anyway, ignore the music. Come back next week for good music. All right, peace out, guys. We love you.